Yeah, can I just quickly, just a couple of points. Yeah, all the points you make are valid in the context of the current narrative. That there are terror. I mean, even it was said, the terrorists are running the country. Let's be very clear about this too. I'm no supporter of either side in this, but freedom fighters everywhere in the world in the history of the of liberation have been called terrorists. The Palestinians are called terrorists, right? So before we call all the people who have banded together to essentially chase the occupiers away, Taliban and terrorists, let's understand that they would not be where they are without support. Do they have to reform certain things? Absolutely right. We have to go and help, but this cannot be led by the West. The point I'm trying to say is, we always forget that the so-called terrorists are a response to state terror. The United States and its allies have inflicted state terror on these countries, and therefore what you have, an asymmetric war. An asymmetric war where the powers with all the jets and the bombs essentially call the others the terrorists. This is the falsity of the discussion. Now we have to say, we are not holier than thou. We're going to help. And the way we're going to help is not putting demands on the table, but actually being strategic and saying, firstly, hey, how can we feed everybody in this country? Can we help you? Can we come? We're not going to pretend that we are better than you. We're going to be humble. We're going to do it because it's a strategic goal. My point is the West is incapable of this narrative because it views itself as superior to everybody else, and its moral authority in the world depends on this outlandish suggestion that they know better than everybody else. But let's not forget, the terrorists that you call terrorists is somebody else's freedom fighter, and they're created by state terror too. And it's
right. Okay, take your point. Wasiq?
Yes, thank you.
Yes, you have to speak up, Wasiq.
Yeah, for the points Chandran made, the first thing is that we cannot. This is wrong to say that Taliban are freedom fighters in Afghanistan. What is the definition for freedom fighter? Please show me one of the leaders that have been people in Afghanistan for the last 20 years or 30 years. All of them are the proxy forces of ISI, Pakistan ISI, because all of them are educated in Haqqaniya madrasas in Pakistan and also other madrasas in Pakistan. We cannot name them as freedom fighters for Afghanistan. They fought for other. Currently, you cannot see how the Prime Minister of Pakistan and the Foreign Minister of Pakistan are lobbying for them in the United Nations, in the international community, who they are, why they are pushing them, why they are pushing the international community to recognize them and give them legitimacy with whatever they have. As Bisma said, Taliban are they are highly armed for now. They have taken all the weapons and everything left in Afghanistan. Currently, they are creating suicidal groups in Afghanistan. In each province, a suicidal group of 200 people. If you count these 34 provinces with 200 suicidal groups, what will be the number? What in the nearest future, if they release this suicidal group in the neighboring countries, like mostly their target is the Central Asian countries like Tajikistan, Uzbekistan, Kazakhstan, Turkmenistan. These 4 or 5 countries, their next target is these countries with these suicidal groups. So this will be high danger and high threat to the Central Asia and also to Iran. So we should not name them as freedom fighters. I am from Afghanistan. I know who they are. I am not like talking for any other group or being directly against Taliban, but this is the reality. We should not forget this.
Right. Thank you.
This one I would like a button as well, if it's possible.
Yes, a quick one, please. Thank you.
Sure, yeah, I completely. So, you'd asked me if I see eye to eye with Mr. Chandran. Perhaps not entirely, because I cannot be as pithy as he is. And I agree with what Wasiq has said. Taliban is not Afghanistan. And the whole Taliban is a particular phenomenon which traces its roots back to a particular country, which is not Afghanistan at all. And it is quite essential for us to distinguish between a freedom fighter who is perhaps known as a mujahid and a Taliban fighter who have different ideologies, who work according to different structural mechanisms. That is one. With that said, I kind of agree with the points that have been made by everybody here, that what we require is a genuine humanitarian international effort, which is not necessarily led by the West, but is led by each and every country, which kind of responds to the humanitarian crisis which is currently unfolding in Afghanistan, and at the same time hold the Taliban accountable. So if they've claimed for themselves an interim regime, if they've claimed that they would be an interim government for a particular period of time, I think it is incumbent upon each and every one of us to make sure that the Taliban as a phenomenon which is currently in power in Afghanistan remains brief and temporary.
And even while it's brief, more accountable.
It is extremely essential for us because Taliban is a political reality that we cannot wish away, and that's exactly what the US was trying to do for a good number of years, but they weren't able to do that, or because of a variety of reasons which I think have been touched upon by Dr. D'Souza, by Chandran sir, and as well as by Micah and Shweta as well. So we need to take all of those things into account to make sure that we do not forget the past and we do not forget the present, which we seem to be forgetting at this point. Afghanistan needs international humanitarian assistance more than anything else.